What's happening? Hare Krishna, how are you doing? You know, you both are doing great. Sonali and Ananya, welcome. Today's topic is going to be about the Modi government withdrawing the high tech bill. The data protection bill, which tried to regulate the high tech companies, and where the high tech companies were very much opposing the Modi government for that. And so personal data protection bill is no more; it is withdrawn. And again, we will discuss about that. And to discuss about that, we have Ananya Patil, the privacy lawyer, and analyst Sonali Sharma. Welcome to both of you. Okay. Before going further, friends, if you are here for the first time, please make sure to like the video, subscribe the channel, and also press the notification bell to know when we are coming live. You can be informed, so that if the topic is interesting for you, you can come and participate and put questions and become the part of the conversation. Okay. So let me start with you, Ananya.
Yeah,
So it's a
Sanjay.
big win for Modi government, but the minister Vaishnav has said, IT minister has promised he is going to come out with another bill replacing this as a consolidatory effect. But
Yeah,
God only knows when they will be coming in. Okay.
yeah.
So what do you think of this move?
I am not in favor of it because it was high time that we had a bill. We've been deliberating over it for 5 years, and now it's like we're back to square one. We're going back to the drawing board, and we're starting from scratch basically. But we really need that bill, so I'm not in favor of it. The second reason is because we do not really have any sort of commitment on when the next bill will be introduced. So I believe before we would review that bill, we had to sort of have like a time frame in mind, which is why I'm not in favor of the move.
Wow. Okay. You look like as a sign of weakness, or they are playing it from the sign of strength. They have majority on both, but why they have to be, we will come there next. Why they have to pull this bill and pull the plug on this bill, so that exposing all the privacy data of the citizens of the country to the foreign nationals is beyond my understanding.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
let's go to Sonali. You know, Sonali, what is your thought on it? Is that a big win? Modi government folded, or what do you think?
I don't think that the Modi government folded. I think our country do need the privacy bill as of right now. It's a quite urgent matter. But when the bill was introduced, and as we look into the current scenario, there has been like 81 amendments and 12 recommendations. So introducing the bill in its original form would right now be useless. The bill has modified to the extent that the basic structure of the bill has been vastly modified. There's nothing left in what was in the originality. So I don't think that it's kind of a weakness. I think the agenda of the bill in the beginning quite got shifted after there was such so many recommendations and amendments that were introduced by the JPC.
Wow. So how do you believe this bill was pretty much brought in the time of Ravi Shankar Prasad as IT minister, and now then he was let go, and after that now this bill, privacy data protection bill, has been the plug has been pulled on that too. You don't see that as a weakness at all, right, Sonali?
No, I don't see that as a weakness. See, the government actually needed a comprehensive framework for that. And as JPC gave about 81 amendments and 12
Hmm.
recommendations for the same, so the bill actually became toothless at the end. There was no originality left. Initially, the government actually introduced the bill for the sake of privacy of the consumers and for the country. Like they mentioned that there would be restrictions on the sensitive personal data of the consumers. The companies who didn't have an origin in India could not have an easy data flow outside the boundaries of India. So with those several recommendations and amendments, actually the matter got shifted. So I don't think it was a sign of a weakness or in terms of big tech pressure. It was because the originality got lost in the process.
Wow. So, do you agree with Sonali, Ananya?
To an extent. However, I do not think that. So here's my problem with it. I'd be fine with the withdrawal if what we have proposed, what JPC proposed as the new bill, was sound. In comparable to the worldwide privacy regulations that we have, but that is not the case. The proposals, if you look at the JPC's proposals, they're very problematic in the sense that they target both personal and non-personal data. It becomes difficult for businesses to generate revenue with that kind of a model. They're advocating data localization, which is completely against. You're basically, it's a tragedy waiting to happen if you're storing data, especially something which is classified sensitive locally. It can fall into the wrong hands. It get stolen. Identity thefts. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, which is why I don't think that it was a sound bill to begin with. But I also don't think that the new bill. I'm not feeling very confident about it.
Wow,
Mhm.
that's uh, that's great. And so so now, Sonali, no, I mean Ananya, let me ask you this. Now the Twitter and other Facebooks, which were already not obeying the government, okay,
Yeah.
they said to the Indian government, take a fly and leave. This is how we will do it. If you want, talk to our US corporation. Now, will they have a free run now?
They've been having a free run, whether you like to believe it or not. You have to acknowledge the fact that they have had a free run. However, I think that organizations like this are also waking up to the fact that customers, irrespective of what the law says, are becoming more privacy sensitive as the day passes, which is why if you look at Facebook, they've rebranded themselves to Meta to become more privacy sensitive. If you look at Apple, you pick any ad of theirs and their tagline says privacy, that's iPhone. And then you have WhatsApp, Instagram coming out with a lot of privacy policies, changes in their privacy notices. And all of that is them basically responding to the customer's need to be more privacy sensitive.
Wow. So, what do you say, Ananya, Sonali?
See, Ananya just talked about a point of data localization. So I would like to comment on that. With data localization, the consumers were also given a right to, give their consent how the companies would be able to store in the data, and the companies were simultaneously required to provide a framework that how they'll be using their data, and the consumers were simultaneously allowed that whenever they want, they can withdraw the consent, and the companies would then have to communicate with them on that set basis. Apart from that, you mentioned about Facebook and Meta.
Do
I
you
mean,
do you strongly believe that they take the consent and they stick to the
see,
promise what they
it
made?
was into regulations and it was into the provisions that the consent should be provided, will be provided by the consumers. Only then can the company store the data. Okay, and
Okay.
apart from that, Ananya did mention about the Facebook and Meta points. I would like to comment on that. There was recent news about some time back that the Facebook was actually storing in data and using about several means. So the bill actually laid down the foundation that there will be a privacy for the consumers. They can actually have their weight or say in it that whether they want to share their data or not. So in terms of that, I think the bill was a necessity here and not that it should not be. It should be a perfect law. I don't think that there is a need of perfect law right now, but just a law. There should be a privacy law in India to regulate this framework, how the organizations store and use their data.
Wow. So don't you see this as a sign of strength of the high tech companies that they got the wicket of the IT minister who was breathing down on their neck, like Ravi Shankar Prasad, and now they got a easy one who can yell at the people who are working in the BSNL, but at the same time will be folding in front of the big tech companies.
See, I don't think actually the government folded in front of the big tech companies. I think that's a misconception going on that because of Facebook or Meta, or Facebook or Google, the government has folded the bill. I don't think it's like that. I think because the JPC came up with 81 amendments and 12 recommendations, It was due to that and not because of the big tech companies. The big tech companies actually had a problem because they'll have to change their framework according to the bill. They'll have to shift their processing, how they store data, how they use it. It was because of that they opposed, and the other parties and opposition parties opposed. It was not because the government was bringing in the law. The government took it back because the JPC came in with such recommendations and amendments.
Fine. Okay. Do you agree with Sonali, Ananya?
I do. I actually do agree with her because if you look at UK, if you look at US, before they had a privacy regulation, let's say GDPR or the e-privacy directive, businesses were opposing it too much because then they're going to have to change all of their processes. They're going to have to hire a completely separate data protection team to help them comply with all of the regulations. And if they slip up, then the fines that they're liable to are very, very hefty, which is why there was that opposition, which you can also see in India and any landscape where there isn't a privacy law. Change is always opposed at first. But
Do,
that
mhm,
said, I do
mhm.
not think that is why this bill was withdrawn. Like Sonali pointed out, I think there were a lot of problems with the law. But where I do not agree with her is the fact that we shouldn't just have a law for the sake of having a law, because that will cause more problems than solve them. What we should aim for ideally is to get recognized as adequate by the UK government, because that will facilitate so many trans-border data flows, employment opportunities. You will be inviting a lot of foreign investment into the country, which is why I think if we're coming out with a data protection law, and it's completely the need of the hour, but it needs to be something that is on par with the other global privacy regulations. I don't think we should just have a law for the sake of it.
So, do you think Modi government even will do it in coming years, anytime soon, after going through
I
the experience?
I am not sure about the anytime soon, but I do think we will have a very robust privacy law.
Because they look to be bringing the law and pulling it back. They did
I
it at
know.
many other occasions too. You know.
Which is why I said I'm not sure about any time soon. I would have liked a time frame provided by the government, but while we don't have it, what I'm hoping for is to have a robust privacy law as opposed to a speedy privacy law.
So what kind of risk now? Now let's dive into the subject of it. That is, what kind of risk after this bill is pulled off? What kind of risk the people are exposed to? The citizens of India are exposed to. Can you
Yeah.
give some,
Okay.
yeah, for a person who is not highly technical? If you can just take a minute and throw some light
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Okay. So up until mid-year 2022, and this is a stat, it's available on the internet. India had the second highest number of data breaches, which means your data is being sold, is being captured without your consent, and you don't even know about it. Whether you're walking down a street and you're captured by a CCTV camera, or you're browsing on the internet and you're being flashed all sorts of ads, your data is being used to profit somebody else. And that is the reality of the situation. So, coming back to your question about what are the repercussions of this bill not being passed, well, I'd say things are status quo right now. But that is bad. It's not a good thing because your data is at risk. You should be able to have control over your data, especially because it's a fundamental right under the Constitution. And secondly, we're just delaying the inevitable. We're also taking away employment opportunities. If you look at it, and this is a reality because when we work, we speak to a lot of different companies, we speak to hiring managers and recruiters, and companies set aside a very hefty budget to source and hire the best privacy talent. And we have so many lawyers in India, so many tech professionals in India who can benefit from those employment opportunities being raised, which right now we're sort of putting a stop on.
Okay, great. What is your thought on it, Sonali?
See, I agree with Ananya on this matter that there's a high time we need a law for privacy. I mean, the way she said that in 2020 there were many report breaches about the data going on, and even Facebook came up with it that the data was breached of several citizens of India, or be it UK and US. So
Of course,
it's
with
high.
they have done it even with the Cambridge Analytica and Congress combination
Yes.
too.
Exactly. So I think the India does need a law for that. Obviously, the law has been though withdrawn, but yeah, we're working on it. And I do believe that there will be quite pretty comprehensive law framework behind it, as the Modi government said that they are working quite hard on coming up with a comprehensive framework on how the actually companies will store it, how they'll actually use it, and how the consumers will be able to provide and give in their say in it, how they want to give consent and all. So I do see India moving towards a privacy law a soon time, in a soon, very soon. And I do not think that due to this, the citizens should be scared. Though there are various repercussions to it, as the security was breached before as well, and it still will be going to. Like many of the people are not aware how their data are actually being used, how the people actually work on AI and access their data. They're not aware of it. So that's a great threat that is coming towards, and which we have already faced in the past as well.
Absolutely. We are hearing from Ms. Jayashree Patil. Good that youngsters are taking part in governance and debate. And kudos to Bharat Mar. Thank you very much. And yes, you guys are doing incredible job of putting together for the people in an easy way to understand. So now, let me ask you one question apart from it. Okay, Ananya. Like Elon Musk yesterday said, Twitter was not honoring the laws of India, and that is one of the things that he has said. Twitter was about to jeopardize the whole Indian market, which is the third largest in the world for Twitter. But Twitter said, take a fly and leave. We are not doing it. That's it. So now for so far every month they were giving reports, they were pulling all the data what is recommended by the government, most of it. So will that still continue, or those things have with this upcoming the pulling of this bill?
I think they'll continue, unfortunately, for the near future, but I don't think it's going to last forever. When we do have a good legislation in place,
No, no.
unfortunately,
If the Twitter is being said by the government, you need to pull these posts down. Like what they say, these accounts need to be flagged. Those kind of
yeah.
regulations the government is doing. Is that tied up to this bill also, or it is separate?
It depends on the situation. Now, again, if you're really using a third party, if you've acquired data through third party sources, and then the government asks you to pull it down, then yes, you will have to pull it down. But if it's something in pursuant to your you exercising your right to freedom of speech and expression, then I don't think the government has any say in it whatsoever.
Absolutely. Thanks, Hakabuka. Absolutely. So what do you think? Now the Twitter and Facebook, they can post anything and keep it alive irrespective of what government says. Because the bill is taken back, they will have a free run. Anything changes from the status quo from how it was last month.
See, I don't believe that they have a free run. They actually had it from very long, and it is still going on. Both the issues are actually separate. The law was for privacy of how the data will be stored and how will be accessed. The law is not about what you post and how the government reacts to it. It's about how government uses your sensitive and basic and critical information to their means, and how the company accesses. It's not about what a person posts and how the government is offended by it. If the government takes an action regarding it that the post needs to be taken down through any means, the third party sources or whatsoever, the individual has to take down a law. But regarding that, it's a separate issue according to my opinion. It's not the same issue or related to the privacy law.
Absolutely. Do you have faith? Shortly, the even though the date anything was not disclosed by the government, do you have faith in the government that they will come out, or once burned twice shy?
See, I do believe in the government that they will come up with a good and comprehensive framework that actually justifies the recommendations and amendments made by JPC. But let's hope for the good. I mean, India does need a lot right now, and the government is working very hard for it. I mean, this has been going on for like 10 years, I suppose. And with Justice S.N. Krishnan, for the report on privacy, right to privacy, I mean, this just got highlighted a lot. And then it came to into view that India is in a dire need of this law. So I do believe that it will come soon. I am not sure about the time span,
Absolutely.
but yes.
Absolutely. Before taking a last word from Ananya, I want if you're watching the Bharat Marg, this video, I want to let you know Bharat Marg does free teaching of Sanskrit, certified course online, no age limit, anybody can join and participate and learn, because understand that if there is no Sanskrit, there is no Sanskriti, then there is no Desh and Dharma. And also, you can become a member at Bharat Marg and become a practicing Hindu. Okay, being a Hindu is great, but how about being a practicing Hindu? If you have more questions, also we do send one dharmic message every day. You can just contact us through the WhatsApp by sending a message to +16479644790 and stay connected. But now going back to Ananya, so what do you think? The government will come back and with another better bill, or now they will kind of put it on the back burner, as the saying goes?
Um, I honestly, that is something that I am really apprehensive about. I do hope that they come out with a bill soon, but at the same time, I don't just want it to be a shoddy job. What I would say is, look, you have to, the government, in the sense, has to consult with experts in the industry to come out with the
Mhm.
law whenever they do. I think that is very important. Right now, if you look at JPC's recommendations, I'm not convinced that they have a sound understanding of the global landscape of privacy laws. But that's one thing. And the second thing that I would like to tell the government is, speed it up, because back in 2020 we had 10% of the entire world had privacy regulations, only 10%. And in 2023 we're predicted to have 65% of the world having their own privacy regulation. Just last year you had Brazil come out with LGPD, Nigeria came out with the NDPR. We are working with another country's government, with their government advisors, and we're helping them draft their privacy legislation. So what is stopping India is my question. Please do it quickly, and please do it after consulting with industry experts.
Absolutely. Hope you enjoyed, and make sure to comment on the video, and what is your thoughts, and how do you find it? What do you still trust the government to come back with a better law, or you think they pull the plug? We will love to hear from you, and looking forward to see you shortly again. Hare Krishna.